I just completely sold out of every single trade that I was in. I do not like what I'm seeing from the stock market since October. And if we rewind a little bit, and if you've been following me here on this channel or on X at the Ronnie V Show, you know that when October and November, when that time frame hit, I got really skeptical of the market because of the technical analysis that I was doing and the things I was seeing on the charts. And if you remember, I was calling for this pullback. Now, I warned everybody I was calling for this pullback, and I was just saying, you know what, I'm just going to exit all my trades. I don't like what I'm seeing in the markets right now. When I did that, people gave a lot of backlash. People were talking crap. We're saying I was a perma bear and all this stuff, even though from April all the way to September and basically beginning of October, just continuously winning. And if you remember in October, we started talking about how the market was looking like it was about to have a pullback. Now, I don't predict anything. I simply look at the probabilities and I try to be on the side of probabilities, right? Because that's what the market is. That's what trading is. That's what investing is. You want to be on the side of probabilities. You don't want to be against the grain. You don't want to be on the side that you don't have the probabilities with you. You want to be with the probabilities and you want to be going with the market, not against it. And in October, I was seeing things on the technical analysis, which we will get into later. We'll also look into the things that I'm talking about, and I'm seeing that could be potential for a crash or an April tariff get in 2.0, or just a repeat that we had at the beginning of 2025, basically from December to April, where we had this pullback and then a bounce and then just continuation downtrend and then a big plummet into April. I call tariff get in. We could see something like that again. And what I'm going to show you on the charts later, it's kind of uncanny how similar it looks. It looks really scary how similar it looks at the beginning of this year. And the reason I pulled the trigger today on getting out of my trades was for one specific reason. I sat there and I said, what am I going to miss out on if I am wrong that the market is about to pull back or have a correction or that the probabilities are high? The only thing I'm going to miss out on is opportunity that the markets keep going up. But like I said, I'm going to show you on my technicals, I'm not going to miss out on that opportunity or miss out on a lot of it because I didn't time the April bottom. I just got into the markets and started trading them a little after the April bottom when I got confirmation that we were going to continue higher. And with that, you could sit there and say, oh, you missed out on the bottom. That sucks. Or you could sit there and say, well, you still got basically May to October in a massive run up. And that's what I really care about. See, as a trader, I don't need to try to predict tops and predict bottoms. I just need to get in when the getting's good, right? I just need to get in when we're having these moves higher and times are easier. Times are easier because we consistently climb up. We're in a clear and honest uptrend, and that's what I'm after, right? I want that as an investor too. I don't want to be getting in investments when times are uncertain, and especially at the tops. I want to be investing in stocks when they're at a great or they're at a great value, at a great deal, like we look at with the value snapshot. That's when I really want to be getting into investments as well. So in this video, I'm going to be going through a lot of technicals, but also in the beginning of it, I'm going to be giving you some catalysts that could drive us to basically see a correction or pullback. Now, I told you that I got out of all my trades, right? I sold out of all my trades, and I'm going to wait for my indicator to tell me, hey, coast is clear, just like it did after April bottom. Tells me the coast is clear, and then I'll start getting into my weekly trades again and moving to the upside. Until that, though, I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines with trading. And the VIX is at, a very low point right now. So I don't really see a lot of point in day trading either. I'm not really a person that day trades with the VIX under 17. I look for it to be above 17. Look for a lot of volatility to be doing a lot of day trading as I trade mainly the indexes. So as investments, I'm keeping all my investments. I did raise some cash and I have about 15 to 30% cash right now. in preparation for this dip that I believe is going to take place. Again, if it doesn't, and then we break out and we get confirmation that we're going to move higher into the next up move, then I will simply just look for undervalued stocks and trade setups, and I will go back in on trades and I will deploy some of that cash on the next up move. But I don't think that that's going to happen. I do think that we are going to have a pullback or correction the beginning of this year. And let's just get right into why I believe this. So, this is what I posted on X. Breaking. I've exited all open trades, swings, longs, monthly trades. This does not include investments. This is very important because people always get up in arms like, oh my gosh, you exit all your investments, you're timing in and out of the market. No. As a trader, you're supposed to time in and out of the markets. You're supposed to time in and out of trades. As an investor, you are not supposed to time in and out of trades. You raise cash towards all-time highs and wait for the pullbacks and corrections to be a buyer, and you look to be a buyer when RSI is low and you're below moving averages and you see a lot of great deals in the markets, right? And then you got to just pick and choose for yourself which ones are best for you and which ones are not. And Happy New Year video dropping soon explaining why. This is that video that I'm explaining why right now. So, big things, right? So we have basically my whole thesis around that 8% drop that I called in October into November, that 8% pullback that I called on the QQQ and subsequently SPY and IWM dropped more or less. The big reason behind that was simply, well, since April lows, we haven't had a more than 3% pullback. And that's just not normal. It's not normal to not have a more than 3% pullback. So we needed a reset. We needed a pullback. Well, I called that, but I didn't know. I thought that would be the end of it and then we would continue higher. Since that pullback, we've crept higher, yes, and we've crept back to all-time highs on the QQQ and the SPY, but there's been like this off feeling. There's been this feeling that has been very, very off. And what do I mean by that? Well, the volume in the markets has been absolutely atrocious since October, more so like November and December. The volume has been atrocious. And I was chalking it up to it's just holiday volume, right? Blah, blah, blah. But last holiday season, the volume wasn't this terrible. On top of that, not just the volume has been bad, but you've been seeing this crazy, crazy moves in crypto markets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Doge, whatever, all these different coins. You've been seeing these run-ups and then rug pulls, run-ups and rug pulls. And basically, you've been continuously seeing this to where it just doesn't look that great. And again, I was sitting there saying, oh, they're doing a lot of fake outs, blah, blah, blah. But I think they're just preparing, chopping sideways, consolidating, and the bulls can't get this thing higher. And they're preparing for the next rug pull in crypto markets, basically creating a bear flag and about to move down to probably 70K. And that might truly be the bottom, right? We don't know. We're just going to have to see it create support and then break out of that support to the upside. Well, we've been creating support now and consolidating now on Bitcoin, Ethereum, but we have not, and we have failed to continuously break out to the upside. So that's what leads me to believe that we could see lower in the crypto markets. Now, another thing that with this whole low volume thing, it just has me scratching my head. Okay, yes, we're in the holiday season, blah, blah, blah. The volume is low, but it wasn't last year. And last year, we actually continued to climb higher, higher, higher in the markets before like basically December, where we started to move lower and then chop and then move down, obviously, February, March, and then tariff getting happened, and then we bottomed. So, one, why is the volume so low? Well, there's this thing called distribution. And distribution is where essentially hedge funds, Wall Street, big money go ahead and create this consolidation. They may create it, they may not. It may just happen because of what they're doing. But distribution is where they are net sellers, but they don't want to crash the markets or bring the markets down. So this low volume is all about them being net sellers and basically giving you the shares, selling off the shares to retail or anybody that's going to be a buyer, even if it's other hedge funds, they don't care. It doesn't have to be retail, but it's basically where the big dogs and the big hedge funds, they sit there and say, okay, like we think that there's a correction or something coming up, and we need to clean out our books. You also have, tax loss harvesting that's going on right now. You also have a lot of people holding on to gains until January 1st, because once January 1st hits, what do we know? When January 1st hits, we know that if you sell your gains, you don't have to pay tax on those for 1.5 years, essentially, because you don't have to pay taxes until April 2027. So the people that are holding on to their gains, that's the first thing that can happen. That's the first domino that can fall. The people that are holding on to their gains in Palantir and ASTS and Rocket Lab and NVIDIA and Tesla and so on and so forth, they are going to look to be selling 1 January and throughout January to basically say, sweet, I don't have to pay these gains. And they've been net sellers of a lot of beaten down stocks and a lot of stocks they've been losing on all the way up to today, which today was the last day that you could have tax loss harvest. Tax loss harvesting is where you sell a stock that you're losing on to basically offset some gains you had this year or into next year. So with the tax loss harvesting happening in this low volume and the market still being at all-time high, it really scares me. And the biggest thing that scares me here is this. Nobody is talking about what Trump said would be a detriment and large hit to the economy in the US. That is, if the Supreme Court comes out and basically rules against Trump and the tariffs that he's implemented, it would be a large hit to the US economy, US, and he said a large detriment. It could be very, 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 very bad. Now, what do markets not like? Markets don't like uncertainty, but nobody's been talking about these tariffs that could basically be called back. And if they're called back and deemed illegal, then more than likely you're going to see these tariffs have to be paid back. Well, if the US economy's already been spending the money and they have to pay back the UK and other countries these tariffs, or honestly, it would be a big crap show. To be totally honest, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows how it would really work with paying them back or not paying them back or what's going to really happen. But that right there, nobody really knows, says a lot. If they deem tariffs illegal, it's going to bring on a lot of volatility all at once in the markets. 29% chance that they rule in favor of Trump. That means there's a 71% chance that they do not rule with Trump. It means they rule that the tariffs are illegal, and that brings a lot of uncertainty. And when are they going to decide on this? They're going to decide on this probably, well, they say in January, but I believe that it's going to be the first half of January. So me sitting there in my trades today and looking at all this and looking at the charts that I'm going to show you here in a minute, I sat there and I said, I don't really like what I'm seeing here. I don't believe the reward is worth the risk. The reward being that this is a nothing burger and we go higher, where the chances are very high that it's going to happen. And that brings a lot of uncertainty to the markets. And then that's not a nothing burger. On top of that, they're saying that the Fed is more likely not to cut rates in January. That brings ripple effects into the markets as well, and that's bearish for markets short term. Lastly, you have the government that opened back up, right? The government opened back up, but 2026 could bring another government shutdown. As at the end of January, that is when funding ends for these certain things that they've allowed funding for. That is when funding ends, and they have to make a deal in January before January 30th, or we are going to get government shutdowns all over again. Yes. So you have 3 parts here. One, you have people selling their gains. You have people selling their gains of the massive gains that we saw from April until October, November. Anybody that was smart and still has those gains, or a lot of these companies, honestly, are still near or at all-time highs and have had massive run-ups, right? So all those people, in my opinion, will do some trimming or selling of their gains, because they're going to sit there and say, well, we're all-time highs and now we're in the new year and now I don't have to pay taxes on this for another, say, 1.5 years. That's number one. Number two, it kind of scares me that nobody's really talking about this whole, and the thing is, if it's not in the news, it's not priced in. And I haven't been really hearing the news or many people talking about this whole Supreme Court ruling against tariffs. Now, yes, I know that it is talked about, but I'm saying like really talked about. Like no one's really out there saying, yeah, if they don't rule, if they rule against Trump, like it could cause, market turbulence, could cause volatility, could cause a market crash. No one's really saying that. And I just find it, I'm just a strong believer that Wall Street and the news is not on your side. Okay. They are going to make moves behind the scenes. They don't want to just sit out there and tell everybody the moves that they're making, because if they do that, then you're in the same playing field as them, right? So it kind of scares me that nobody's really talking about this or sounding the alarm on this, and it's definitely not priced in sitting here at all-time highs. So that's a big thing. Now the Bank of Japan stuff, them raising or hiking rates, that was very, very, very highly talked about. And we did get a pullback, and it did get kind of priced in to the markets, in my opinion. This, not so much. And I'm kind of feeling like people are like, there's no way they're going to rule against it because that would be un American. Well, I don't think the Supreme Courts really think about being un American or American. I think they just boil it down to law and what is legal, what is illegal, and what can be done by the president, what cannot be done by the president. And so no one talking about it really scares me. And then looking at the charts, as we're about to do, finally, scares me even more. So we're about to nerd out. We're about to nerd out here, and you're about to see some things. If you're not a real technical person, I will really try to break this down to very simplistic things. Okay. So what am I seeing? Well, I am seeing that this was the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. And I've talked about this before. And this is the end of 2025 going into 2026. Do you see the similarities in this I call chop? In this chop, pullback of 8% here, pullback of 6 to 7% here, then a run to all-time highs into end of year, beginning of the year, almost run to all-time highs into end of year, beginning of the year, all while what? This is my indicator. This is what I call the matrix. The matrix is really good at helping us understand market cycles and where we are in those cycles. This matrix told us that we were climbing higher, pushing higher, bullish, made a bullish cross, matrix long here. This was September 2024 into basically the end of 2024. And then guess what? It told us here on, what is that? December 30th, 2024, that things are not good, that we made a bearish cross. We stayed bearish. We stayed underneath the pink line, and we stayed underneath that, which we made this bearish cross. And then we stayed underneath that all the way through Tariff Geddon. And look what happened. You missed out on chop and then a big fat correction of 20% plus. And I can go back and back and back, and we can see that it calls pullbacks, and then it calls for, push higher, right? In the markets, it's not 100%, guys. Nothing's 100%, but I do trust it a lot with my overall market analysis and what I'm doing in the markets. I like to trade either short when this thing is down and bearish. I like to trade long when this thing is up and bullish. Pretty simple, right? So what do we see here? Well, we see from May 19th, right? I didn't get the exact bottom on April 7th, but on May 19th, it told us, hey, we're making a bullish flip and we're going to run higher. Well, we did just that. And you could have front ran this a little bit as we started to curl up and basically go from purple to red, as we started to curl out of oversold territory and push higher. And on this temperature, as I call it, the high five temp, as we push higher from red to orange to green, right? So all of these things curling higher on the temperature, curling higher out of the oversold area, and then curling higher and making eventually a matrix bullish cross would have told you we're good all the way until when? November 10th. November 10th, the matrix said short the market. it said, do not be long this market. And so us personally, we got out of the markets here and basically said, okay, we're going to wait for this pullback. We waited for the pullback. We got back into the markets a little bit, again, not full size or anything. We got a little bit back into markets and basically said, okay, we're going to look for this next upswing, which we did get. We made some gains. We made some losses. Honestly, overall, I should have just stayed out of the markets, to be totally honest. And, you live and you learn. And some of these are newer indicators that I'm still, that I put together from my strategies. And I've needed to have that muscle memory with them and basically have them be trusted by me by basically seeing things like this. To me now, this is very simple. When we make a bearish cross and we are below and are not back above or flipping back up, I'm either going to be shorting the market or I will be sitting on my hands doing nothing, because this was not fun to trade. And a lot of gains were not made. More losses were made than gains, to be totally honest. Even though I called out the pullback and we got that, I thought, hey, we're good now because we're starting to curl back up. Well, that just wasn't the case. And as you can see, the temperature stayed below the 0 line, which is bearish. We're making bearish divergence on the RSI here. And we are also, again, below here on the matrix, which is bearish. As you can see here, we stayed below it. We went down. We stayed below it. As long as we stay below it and don't go make a bullish cross, then we are most likely going to see and potentially see the same fate that we saw in April. Now, I don't know that for sure is going to happen, that we are going to see a crash of 20% plus, right? I just know that right now it's choppy. It's choppy. The volume is low. And I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like what I'm seeing at all from this market. And a lot of breakouts have been fake outs. A lot of breakouts have been fake outs, and things just don't look good. And it's like that here on the QQQ. It's like that on the SPY. It's the same thing. And the thing that scares me here is that we had this breakdown, then we had up, down, up, rejection, lower, breakdown, up, down, up, and now we're rejecting on the SPY right here at all-time highs. Again, same exact box. It looks uncanny, doesn't it? It looks absolutely uncanny. And you're having this bearish divergence and you're still below the 0 line. And the most bullish thing in these markets was actually the IWM. And the IWM actually flipped bullish, but now it's flipping back bearish on the temperature, bearish divergence on the RSI, got to all-time highs. Looks like it's just retesting, right? But again, it's just in this consolidation range like we saw. We didn't really see that. We saw a pullback and then a little bit higher and then a continuation down. But at the end of the day, you got this bearish cross down, right? And then you waited for this flip higher, and then you were in markets and trading higher. Got this bearish cross down, started to look like we were going to get this bearish cross higher, but guess what? Now we're going down, and who knows how far down we go. So this is what I'm seeing in the markets. I'm seeing an uncanny resemblance of what we saw at the beginning of this year, and I just don't like that. I just don't like that one bit, and I don't like to be trading in uncertain times with uncertain news coming that doesn't look like it's priced in as we're at all-time highs. And a lot of valuations are still really high. There's a lot of great deals in the market, but then there's also a lot of valuations that are way high. So I'm choosing to sit on my hands for now. I'm not going to be short in the market. I'm not going to be long in the market. I'm just going to sit on my hands and wait until we get this actual flip to bullishness on the matrix. And then I will pounce, and then I will go long like we did from April to here. Because at the end of the day, if I listen to the matrix here and I said, okay, I'm out of the markets here, I'm not trading it, I got this, and then I avoided this, and then I got this, and then I avoided this. So I get wins, easy wins here and here, and I avoid losses and chop. To me, that makes a lot of sense. I can also show you a lot of other things, but the video is running kind of long and it's New Year's and New Year's Eve, and it's time to go hang out with the family, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this made sense for you. If it didn't, I'm sorry. 2026 will be a year to learn technicals. You can learn that in our group in the High Five Collective. You can learn investing in the High Five Collective, or you can learn it anywhere else. I don't know what else to say. I made the move that was best for me. I'm gonna wait until things are calmer in the markets and we get more of a clear upside, because right now it just doesn't look good. I don't know the future. I don't know what's going to happen, but the probabilities say that we're either going to keep chopping or we're going to see at least a pullback, if not a correction, right now into next year. If that doesn't happen and then we see higher, then I will simply go back into my trades and I will simply trade to the upside with more clarity. But we do not have that clarity right now. I made a mistake thinking that kind of front running after the 8% pullback, because I said, oh, 8% pullback, we got exactly what I was expecting. And now let's get into markets. Now let's push higher. Things are starting to curl up, but just because things are starting to curl up doesn't mean they're going to completely curl up, as they can curl up and then just be a higher or lower high and then reject and go lower. So that's what we're seeing now. And crypto markets have still pulled back over 30%. And typically when that happens, the QQQ and the markets typically see, more of a pullback. Not as much as 30%, but typically, half of what of crypto sees. So like 15%. So we could see something like that. Again, don't take this as I'm telling you exactly what's going to happen in the market. I don't know. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen in the markets, but things just don't look very clear. And I like to trade in clear markets, which I know you probably are laughing at, maybe think is a little crazy. Nothing's ever clear in the markets, but based on the technicals and based on the technicals I created, it does make it a little more clear. It's not perfect. It's not an exact science, but it does make it a little bit more clear at least. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll raise cash, 15, 30% investment portfolios. And I'm sitting on my hands out of trades now for these exact reasons and these exact news events that are coming up. I just don't think the reward, which I don't think is very much of a reward, as I can just get back into the markets if we do get that clear up signal on the matrix and the buy signal on the matrix. So there's really not that much of reward I'm missing. I'm simply avoiding this risk of another tariff getting. So appreciate you all joining me, and I hope you have a great New Year's. Be safe. Don't be an idiot. Don't drink and drive. Coming from somebody who is over a year sober now, don't let alcohol run your life. Don't let it make you make. Don't let it make you make a decision that's really bad, even though you're still making the decision. But yeah, so don't do dumb stuff. Okay. Love you guys. Congratulations on an amazing 2025. It was amazing 2025. I appreciate the growth that we've seen on X and on YouTube and across all my social medias and the community. I love you all. I appreciate all of you supporting me in this amazing journey where I get to talk about what I love, which is trading, investing in the stock markets overall, and nerding out on charts and investing opportunities and fundamentals. So look forward to more in 2026. Big things planned for 2026 for sure. Hopefully land some more interviews with some CEOs, with some companies I really like we just had with David Steinberg and Zeta. And yeah, onward and upward, guys. Let's have a kick-ass 2026 and let's get after it. Talk to you guys later.